Now, for the next 10 movies on this list, they were not way up there for me. They, and I have my reasons, but like I said in the first video, yeah, there's some movies that could easily be on this list. I chose not to see them because they did not look good. The reaction from people kind of affirmed why I thought they did not look good, and I just don't have time. So the first one, number 10 on the list, the 10th worst movie I saw, Weapons. I put it at number 10 because it was actually quite a good movie for the first two acts. There was a lot of good things going on. It was okay that they split the characters up into their own like little segments. That was fine. I felt I didn't think it was necessary, but it was fine. It didn't seem like a gimmick, at least. And there was a lot of good things going on. There was a lot of questions I had. The movie was skating by because it was well made in certain manners, but then it was bringing up a lot of questions that you knew that. Well, I was sitting there and thinking, I really like the movie, but it can really fall off a cliff if it does not start answering these big time questions I have, and I'm not going to accept just the most simple, shoo away from me type of answer as to some of the plot holes in this movie. But we get to the third act, and it's like the the script wanted to be like, well, we're not going to be able to answer any of these questions because they're ridiculous to begin with. They're giant gaping plot holes, and there's nothing that you can even say for things to make sense at this point in the movie, because it's gone on too long for things not to start making sense. I mean, at the very beginning of the movie, you're saying, okay, they should be able to kind of pinpoint where all these kids ran off to, because they all know that they ran in a straight line in the same direction and they have all these cameras. Surely they know that, hey, wow, isn't it amazing that 15 kids or whatever it was ran all to this one spot right here in town? Should we look there? No, we're going to be just incompetent to the extreme. Will the FBI come in and help with the investigation at all? Because this is major. No, they're not going to come in whatsoever. And it's like the longer the movie goes on, the more you're like, when are they going to start touching upon some of the evidence that, these characters are unlocking evidence that the police should have unlocked, days ago, and why? And the why is, well, we need to get to this third act that is ultimately not going to make any sense whatever, because it's going to introduce a totally new aspect to the story. And by the time that aspect of the story has been introduced, now we're off the rails, and now we cannot explain anything. So what are we going to do? Oh, let's just have a big action scene with some blood and some goofiness to try and hopefully stir up the crowd into saying, wow, look at that. Look how fun this, look at the rise that this took at the end. And let's hope that no one asks any questions about anything going on in the first 70% of the movie. Let's hope that they just don't care about any of those plot holes, or don't care to try and explain anything. We just hope that they come out and say, oh, well, that's just the way it is. And, just don't think about that. Just move on. It bothered me to no end that this was the script. This was the idea that was there was nothing that tried to make sense out of the first 70%. Number 9, a movie that I really, really thought was going to surprise me, and I was thinking the first 30 or so minutes, I was thinking, wow, this is good stuff. Sure, it started off weak because it was totally unnecessary to have one of those opening scenes of something's going on, something dark is happening, the day before or whatever it is. It's like that trope barely, that doesn't work that often. It has to there has to be a reason that's done. In this movie, that reason is not there. And the only reason that it's there is to say, well, yeah, at some point in this movie, some things are going to happen, but it's not going to be for a while. And, well, we just want to make sure the audience is aware, hey, this movie's going to change into something later on. Be prepared. Instead of just taking the audience on that journey, you have to try and give them a little bit of a serving up front and say, hey, reminder, something's going to come up later on. So I did not like the way that was handled. So, but other than that, I was getting into the movie quite a bit. I was liking it. Some things kind of came up that didn't quite make sense totally, but it was no big deal really whatsoever until they really became no big deals by the very end. And I guess those things really stuck with me because, it's like I kind of put it in the back of my mind. Why is this playing out the way exactly it is? Is this for this character just to prove a point? I don't know. But I really wanted to like Sinners. But I absolutely did not like Sinners by the end of it. I thought it was completely stupid. There were so many things that I was sitting in there, like it started off like at a 5 because of that opening 3 minutes, but then it kind of went to like a 9, and I was like, all right, this movie could get to a 10 by the end of it. Like it's really starting up here, but then it just kind of slowly went down because I was realizing pretty soon, well, where's our plot changing here? I feel like we're getting to, halfway into the movie, really before something kind of really happens to really start twisting the plot in a different direction. It felt like the first act was half of the movie, and yeah, and like I said, there's lots of good stuff going on, but I was just not invested because I had no idea where the characters were going. I had no idea. I mean, just to reconnect with a place that they grew up. But if they wanted to do that, I mean, what's the rush? They have to. I mean, as far as I can remember, everything takes place in a span of 24 hours or something like that, maybe 2 days or whatever it is. But they go through purchasing a property, arranging music, arranging the food, getting together signs, getting together a guest list, who they want to invite, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. Just, starting a business and having your first party at your business within a day is insane. Absolutely insane. And that's not movie time being shown in the movie just to kind of speed things along. No, this was something that was done in the movie, but there was no explanation as to why there was this rush. There was no explanation. I mean, it didn't seem like they were trying to get a business started. It seemed like they were just trying to rent out a place for the night and have a couple of bags of potato chips or something. No, this was seemed like a lot was going all out with the food and the music setup. I mean, I've tried arranging house parties for 5 people to show up, and it takes all week long and try to arrange this and try to arrange that, and then I was trying to piece together what exactly was going on. Were they rushing to do this because of something with the mob? Did they? I know there's vampires in this movie. Is there something with the Irish mob? Do they know that there's vampires and they're luring them here for some reason? Well, no, because if that was the case, he would have had his guns, all of his precious guns, inside the barn, probably, right? I mean, they were just kind of out there. I mean, he made sure those guns were being attended to when he was in town. But then now that they're just kind of outside, no one's watching those guns. So obviously he doesn't really know about the vampires. So why are they building this so fast? And so I am having like 100 questions going. I mean, hundreds of questions by that point go through my brain. Not only with all that debacle, but everything in the movie. The the glorified song sequence. It didn't make any sense. Is this movie about this or is this movie about that? Is this movie trying to say something about music or is it trying to say something about race? I get that there's vampires in here, but the vampires, you could substitute anything for vampires and that wouldn't matter. All this singing and none of it really, like, I didn't get, nothing made it, was a point to me. And that doesn't necessarily always have to mean that a movie is bad, because sometimes sometimes I can just have a hangout movie and maybe the point is, I don't know, in Dazed and Confused, the point is just to have a good time. It's the end of the school year. You're going to go out and have a good time. Maybe get lucky with a woman. Maybe get some drinks. Maybe smoke this, do this. You know, you're just going to have. It's just a walk down memory lane of something that everybody does just about. You know, your last day of school. You're getting ready to celebrate, the next couple months off. And that's it. I mean, but there's things in that movie that twist things around. There's things that happen with characters and they split, and other things happen, and bad things happen to certain characters, and this happens. But in this movie, none of that was happening. It felt like there should have been a story, and it felt like it was trying to set up a story, but then nothing was really playing out. The third act. I mean, everything with the vampire assault, that was some of the most boring action. It was just random shots, and then it was over. I mean, obviously there was inspiration from Dusk Till Dawn. Ryan Coogler even said it. But talk about the vampire action scene in that movie. That was a the choreography in that was great. Every action made sense. Every shot made sense. You felt that what was going on in this part of the room and going on over in that part of the room and over there, you could tell everything that was going on and everything was planned out. In this, it was just like, okay, well, this happens. Okay, well, this happens. Okay, that over there happens. And then it's like, okay, now we're outside. And the vampires are really stupid. They're very stupid. They're just standing outside. They know the sun's coming up. They're very stupid. It's just kind of like how stupid Jack O'Connell is as a vampire, where he just falls into screen when he's introduced in that. And I don't know what act it is, because it's still the first act to me, but we have a wide open plain of brown, dried up grass and dirt, and there's like a house out in the middle of all this, but the vampire just drops into frame. What? Why is he outside in the daylight? Why is he out here? I mean, I get that he's being hunted by, but why is he here? I could go on and on with questions after questions after questions. I thought the movie was really, really bad. And it's still only 9 on my list. Number 8, F1 the movie. I'm not a huge fan of F1. I've never watched a race. I've seen other F1 movies. I've seen parts of races and stuff, and it would be fun, I guess, if you were doing it. But it was never my thing. But still cannot mean the movie's not going to be good. So of course I go watching it. Brad Pitt, all right. Is this going to be the next Top Gun Maverick? Is no matter what, is this going to be the next Top Gun Maverick? As far as however much everybody in the movie business wants to push for that, I walked out of the movie being severely let down, and it started in the best possible way that it could have started, with a rather good song, if I don't say so for myself. But I was thinking, wow, the song's great, but boy, they could really be pumping the audio mix to really make it sound good. I mean, okay, but at least we're getting like almost the entire song. This is great. Um, and the story's okay. It feels like a really clean movie. Like I don't know. It seems like it's like too clean. It feels like like everything with the racers is kind of like the office building that they keep on coming back to, because they're always in this office building doing tests with the cars and whatnot, and everything seems very clean. So I'm like, the look of the movie is not the best. I'm like, the story's okay. It's kind of the same story that we've seen over and over. But then it's like, is there supposed to be a relationship going on here with these two characters, Brad Pitt and whoever the other lady was? Are they trying to build a relationship here? I don't know. Are these two racers? Are they friends? Are they actually playing like enemies, or are they just friendly enemies? Because the friendly enemy, I don't really quite like that. It's like it's trying to play both sides of possible relationships there. So everything was kind of middling when it came to the plot and the story. It was okay, but I was hoping for at least the racing sequences to be good, because if those were great, then all right, maybe then it'll be okay. Maybe it'll be like Days of Thunder. But the racing sequences were the worst part of the movie. And I am stunned. I'm blown away. I'm mind-boggled. Because kind of like how the song in the beginning of the movie, I thought the sound was okay with the song because it was up in the mix. So that's nice. But where's where's the sound? Like, where is the enveloping sound to really put me into the scene? I want to listen to it rather than hear it. And that's what happened with all the sound of all the racing scenes, to where in the theater all the engine sounds and like all the good stuff was just front and center. It was just there. And I'm waiting for like really amazing like Atmos sound, and that's not happening whatsoever. And the biggest sound that I'm hearing is the most annoying commentator. It was like someone at some point, I don't know when, thought it was a good idea that the audience was going to be stupid enough to not know what was going on in the scenes. Did they think that they couldn't edit it properly? Could they not film it properly? Could they not direct it properly? I don't know. But they felt like the audience could not tell what was going on, so they had to have a commentator voice over every single race and tell the audience exactly what was going on. And the commentator, that was the biggest sound, and everything else was pushed up to the front. And I thought this is one of the worst sounding movies I've ever heard in regards to what it should have been. I mean, it should have, like this, you see stuff like IMAX, it's Atmos, it's in, the, HDR and 4K cinemas, and, and all these things. This should be a powerhouse movie that you cannot wait to get home and have a go-to disc to test your sound system to impress people. And I'm blown away that it's the front runner for sound. I'm like, I don't get it. It should have been the front runner for sound. Is that why it's the front runner? It should have been in the top 10 for best movies of the year, kind of like Top Gun Maverick. But I was totally let down. There was a moment in the movie where the other driver got into this big dramatic car crash. I was like, he's a goner. Oh God, he's done for. And then the movie was like, no, he's still alive. I was like, oh, they were too afraid to kill him off? Well, okay, I guess he's out of the picture. Nope. 2 minutes later, there he is. His mother comes in to complain to Brad Pitt, and then now he's back driving. No big deal. Let's have this scene in the movie just take up some space. it doesn't do anything. I mean, it doesn't change it does nothing. The stupid scene with the woman and them two at the bar or whatever. Boy, another good scene that just derailed as the longer it went on and the stupider it got. I was so let down by F1. Next one, Bone Lake. Another movie. So many movies, and it really felt like this was the year where movies were really good, and then they started leveling off and got worse because the more you realized that what it was setting up could not be paid off. And that's the same thing with Bone Lake. I mean, give me a better reason why this couple is staying here. Come on, give me something better. No, you keep on giving me reasons why they're going to leave, but why are they going to choose to stay here at this point? Why? I mean, they're afraid to do things in this house because the other couple might see them. If you're afraid of doing something in this house because the other couple might see you, that's your your sign to leave. And then the way everything plays out at the end is just kind of really anticlimactic. And then there's clues at the end that try to tell you about. It tries to paint a picture of what has been happening on this property for the past 70 years or whatever it is, and then that gives you more questions, and it does things to me like, okay, I think I just saw this, but boy, this really does not make sense. So did I even see what I think I saw? Did I see this couple in a photo from 70 years ago? Or is the movie trying to say that, I don't know what the movie's trying to tell me at this point. I think the movie's just hoping that there's going to be a couple of decent gore moments and a couple of surprises in the last 20 minutes to hopefully make you forget about everything else. I got tired of that trope this year, seemingly, to where a movie just really wanted you to forget about everything else that happened before it. And hopefully you didn't tie everything together. That was Bone Lake. And that's also the same theme of Together. Together was so bland and so boring. I did not care about this couple to begin with. I mean, they're talking, in the very opening scenes, they're talking and they're doing things like neither one of them want to be with one another. But right in the middle of this, they're throwing a goodbye party for them to be like moving out. And it's like, whoa. It's like the longer you are as a couple, the more you split apart and realize you should not be a couple. But then at that point where you're kind of really far apart to where, it's like, are they going to break up live in front of all their friends? Because that seems like where they are. But no, we're going to move. We're just going to move in together and things will be great. So the setup does not have me whatsoever. And then it was another one of those movies. It's like there's too many reasons why they're staying. And then it's like, oh, well, they try to leave, but they can't. So so it seems like at this point in the movie, we're going to do something to try and make sense of the reason why they're going to stay. No, we're just going to do something stupid. Oh, and then, okay, this happens. Maybe they're going to try to do something else to try and get out of this town. No, instead of making a reason for them to not be able to leave, we're just going to give another stupid reason for them to stay. Now that kind of keeps on happening for them to not get out of the situation. And all the dumb things that they do leading up to the trouble that they get themselves into. They have to be two of the stupidest characters of all time. And it's like, okay, you thought that, oh, I have a great idea for the movie. It's going to be together, and by the end of it, it's going to be symbolism. But, okay, that's nice and all, but if the road that you take to symbolism does not make sense, and you have to ride that road with idiots for characters, and it's like, then I'm just not going to be that impressed by your genius, symbolism of togetherness and all this. It was like Bone Lake quite a bit, but at least Bone Lake, at least the last 20 minutes was more fun than Bone Lake. Um, and at least it made a tiny bit more sense why the characters would stay in Bone Lake. A tiny bit more. Um, then another horror movie, Heart Eyes. This might have came out before my favorite, no, not my favorite, but Companion. But it was early in the year of 2025 that I saw Heart Eyes, and I was so let down by that. I was I'm so let down by it. I forget most of it because in the very beginning, like so much of the movie does not make any sense whatsoever, and I do not appreciate being treated like an idiot as an audience member. Like when I even forget exactly how it's playing out, but like you have the two characters, they're like out and they're getting ready to propose to one another, but then there's like a prank going on, but then like the whole setup did not make any sense for this opening scene. Like it was very, very stupid, but then the rest of the movie played out very, very stupidly, and I wish I could remember more, but I think the more I put that movie out of my head, the better. So now the fourth movie, I would like to have seen in the theaters. Um, I mean, I would not like to have seen it if I didn't like it as much as I don't like it. But maybe I would have liked it a tiny bit more if I saw it in the theaters. I hate watching movies for the first time at home. It's not the best experience, especially nowadays. It's really. I mean, I have to. I like to put my phone across the room just because I'm not going to touch it, so doesn't need to be in my pocket or something like that. But to try and have no distractions, it's really tough to do just in general. But at least with a movie theater, you're in that dark space. You should be mindful of everyone else around you, so you're definitely not going to check anything on your phone or anything like that. So you're really forced to pay attention to a movie and just really take it in. So when I was able to watch Frankenstein at a home setting, it really felt small. And maybe that was part of the movie itself, but I did not like Frankenstein. I thought it was really, really boring. I thought it was a slog to get through, and that was a big part of why I did not like it. Um, I mean, I appreciate that it tried to follow the book a little bit more as far as like some of the ways that it was told, but then things that it would do didn't make sense like they did in the book, which was weird. So I kept on thinking about things that like I don't get it. Like like when Frankenstein blows himself up, I'm like, but is he just impervious to anything? I mean, I know that he's undead, basically, which means that he can't necessarily die, but I mean, that's like how many sticks of dynamite or whatever was that? It's like but yeah, there's lots of times where I was just very confused about something, but I thought it looked very, very CGI, and I know that it wasn't like a whole bunch of CGI like certain movies, but it still felt that way. It felt like the production design was fake. Um, there was so many things that did not like logically did not make any sense with the production design. Um, but then yeah, just the overall drabness of it. It looked like, and maybe it was just because of the streaming, maybe, but it really looked muddy and really green smeared, and like I'm waiting for the dark blacks and the bright whites to pop. Not and I don't need every movie to be super colorful, but the movie felt like it was ugly. It was like I'm gonna make the movie look as ugly as Frankenstein, and I did not like the look of Frankenstein. He looked that just did not feel like Frankenstein. I mean, visually, if you want to be more like the book, that's or visually, if you want to go away from, you know, the image of what everyone says. Well, this is what Frankenstein looks like. If you move away from that, there's all sorts of directions you can move to. I don't care. But whichever one you do pick, have it look good. I hated Bride a couple weeks ago, but I thought he looked decently like a Frankenstein in that movie. In this one, I did not like the way he looked. Um, I did not. I mean, there was so much I did not care for, like the god awful CGI wolves. It was bad enough that they looked awful, but then the way they acted was not realistic. And I hate when things like something like that, something so minor as the way wolves act, should not take me out of the movie. But in this one, it did, and I think that's because part of it was just because I was just over everything else that was going on. I did not care about. I did not. I didn't care about the story, and there was so many decisions that was just. It was like, okay, you made a conscious decision to do this, but it was the stupidest decision that you could have made, and yeah, it was a total letdown, and another reason why I would rather have been let down in a movie theater than watching it at home. Third on my list is another movie that it was painful to get through. Frankenstein a little less painful, but this one I was having a very hard time getting through it. And that was Hamnet. I did. It was another movie that felt like it was smeared with light brown. Like it's like I get that this is not present day England, and even present day England movies are kind of they're more gray, but I get that there's like it's maybe some cloudy days and whatnot back then, but there's still color and there's still a freshness that the movie should feel very very fresh, like like a lot of it takes place outside in natural settings, but even the swimming sequence does not feel that feels very modern and feels weird. Like yeah, everything feels weird. The characters don't feel like they're real people. The way they interact and the way they talk and the way they meet and discuss things, and I don't know how accurate the world is, but it does not feel accurate at all. Um, and I don't know much about that time. And sometimes what you know about something might be from the movies that you've seen. But I've also seen documentaries for around that time. But there's just something about this that just didn't feel like I was watching something that was taking place in a real world, which is not a negative, you know, if the movie was trying to go for that, but it was trying to go for a real world experience that I did not buy into. And it was one of those movies that it was so obvious from the title of the movie. Like, if you know anything about the play Hamlet, you have to know where this movie is leading to, even though it's not really leading to the movie in because once again it's one of those movies where it's like I don't know the direction of these characters, they're just kind of going along. They don't seem that. I mean, they seem lustful enough, but I don't know how really interested they are in one another and what their goals are. Things are just kind of happening, but it's like get to them having this kid already. Get to this kid dying. Get to this play in the end. And I know what this play is going to mean for these characters because, yeah, the movie is trying to. I mean, it's not really setting these characters up, but it's just kind of obvious because, well, yeah, it's kind of like that husband gone for a long time and the wife is home and they're kind of disconnected. I mean, that's always happened in history, always. And so, yeah, so it's like, okay, I understand that she's going to feel this way by the end of the movie, and then she's going to come around because then everything that has happened, from this point in the movie until the end, it's all going to make sense. So she's going to have those range of emotions in the end. Just get to it, and it took forever to get to it, and it was okay in the end. But not even watching the last 30 minutes of the movie, that didn't even seem worth it, because everything that happened before it was just so uninteresting and bland to look at. And I thought Jessie Buckley was overacting. Her character was not that interesting, and maybe if her character was really interesting, then the overacting would be a payoff. But and it's like, not only is she the front runner to win the Best Actress Oscar, it's like she's a lock. It's like I'd be very surprised if someone else won, but it's like I don't mind a lock to win if the performance is really good. But yeah, to me it was just overacting. Number two is a movie that feels like it came out before 2025. It was a movie that when it was announced, I was excited for it because I don't care how many times they do remakes of this movie or retellings of it or complete and utter fresh concepts, but just using the title Wolfman, I'm all for it, because the original Wolfman with Universal Studios Wolfman, that is my favorite classic horror movie. As far as like the Universal horror movies goes, that's my favorite out of all of them. And so I'm always interested in seeing a new take on it. I really wish the Benicio del Toro one was perhaps a little bit better. It was really good. I liked it quite a bit. It was obviously it was leagues way better than this. I thought that it could have been tweaked a little bit to be a little bit better, but it's too bad that Universal monster was. I mean, they've never really been able to get these Universal monster movies lifted off the ground and have a really good, grouping of films on their own. They're so disconnected. I was like, well, well, here we go, another Wolfman movie. Hopefully, we can have another chance at it. Then you get like the design of the Wolfman is being panned big time, and I get a bare glimpse of it, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's something else. Maybe that's not the final design. Maybe that, I don't know. Well, yeah, the design of the werewolf in this movie was atrocious, but that was probably that was one of the least worst things of the movie. Like, I hated all aspects of the movie. I thought it got it put the characters in the situation, and I did not like how they got put into the situation and the events that led there, and like so many things did not make sense. Once again, lots of stupidity involved. If you thought about things outside of what was going on in the story, if you thought of a larger picture whatsoever, like it does not make sense. And like I forget so much of the movie, and I'm glad I do. It's kind of like Heart Eyes. A lot of it's going out of my mind. And whenever I revisit my written review, I'll be like reminded of a lot of bad things, I'm sure. But yeah, it's not even worth watching just to see an okay movie. It's like this movie, any chance that this movie would have started some sort of Universal horror movie world. I mean, it didn't really try to do that whatsoever. But even if it did want to try and do that, that idea is stopped in its tracks. There's going to have to be another new Wolfman movie to be a part of any sort of Universal Monsters world that I would like to see. So yeah, a complete failure. And then my number one worst movie of the year is a movie that I thought at the very least was going to be good. Even though some of the things that was coming out about it beforehand made me think, I don't know, like the goofy image of Superman flying through the air. I was like, oh, it's like, okay, I get it. It's not really a done image or something like that. It still looks like fake and like odd, whatever. Kind of like the Wolfman thing. I'm like, whatever. I'm not going to really pay that much attention to it. Let me just watch the movie and try not to think about stuff like that ahead of time. And Superman is a rarity because I think I gave it a 1 out of 10, maybe a 2 out of 10, but it must be really bad for me to get below like a 3 or a 4. Um, I mean, I did not find. I'm trying to remember what I did like in the movie. Not much. I mean, some things get a pass. I wouldn't say I liked David Cornsweet as Superman or Clark. He was fine. He passed. It's kind of like I think George Lazenby was fine and he passed as James Bond. There was a lot of room for him to grow as James Bond for sure, and maybe he could have become a great Bond, but he passed. He looked the role enough. He acted the role enough that yeah, I can say yeah, that's James Bond, and I can say yeah, this is Clark Kent and Superman. Sure, but I think a lot of what he had to work with and a lot of his character decisions was not good, and it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to act out of all those. But there were so many. I mean, I'm not gonna say much about this because you can check. I mean, I have reviews for all these movies. Well, my initial thoughts reviews, as I call them, because I don't really give out many spoilers, if at all. I try to stay away from all spoilers. And talk about the movie in generalities a little bit more. And whenever I get the chance, I can talk about more specifics. But I like talking about more specifics of a movie lots of times with someone else to be able to really explore a movie, which Superman would be great for because I could point to so many things that totally took me out of the movie and made me question reality as so much so that how could this complete mess of a script get that much money and that much production behind it? How could that get so much press and be out there so much? How can anyone behind this be happy with what it was? I feel bad for someone like David Cornsweet because he's like, yeah, I want to be Superman. I mean, how much did he read the script before he fully agreed to it? Because if it was me, I would be like, personally, I don't care what the script is. This is my chance to be Superman. I'm going to take it. Just to be able to say I played Superman. I mean, how bad can it be? I mean, surely it's not going to be bad. At the very worst, I mean, it's not going to be as bad as Batman and Robin. I mean, that lesson was learned, obviously. No, it's worse because I would so much rather love to watch Batman and Robin. I could have fun with a bad movie like that. But this movie, I don't even want to have fun making fun of it. But I will leave this for another time because I could spend 2 hours I could go almost line by line and talk about how bad this movie is. Kind of like I could go line by line and talk about how great Pineapple Express is because there's no line or moment that I would pass up to not talk about. Same here. And so that's it for my top 10 and bottom 10 of the year. I know that there's obviously some controversial picks on here because we have Sinners, F1, Frankenstein, and Hamnet, all nominated for Best Picture of the Oscars, all on my bottom 10. Granted, I could have seen quadruple the amount of movies this year that I saw. I could have if I had the time. But with what I saw, this was it. And, I hate that Sinners and F1 and things like that's in my bottom 10 because, boy, I would really like to say, the most nominated movie of all time is a vampire movie. Oh, great. I mean, vampire movies. Some of them all, I love watching vampire movies. Some of them, like, if I put them into horror movies, then that's like my number one type of favorite horror movie to watch. Like, kind of like it's up there with slashers. I Vampire movies are it. But the the fact that I cannot say that, the fact that I cannot say a vampire movie is now the most nominated movie of all time. What will I be able to say as far as how many awards it wins? I don't know. Um, as far as a quick little talk about the Academy Awards tomorrow, I'm not going to watch them. I've not watched them in several years now. It's like, I mean, the older you get, the more you realize how there's so many things can be rigged, and so many things don't really matter. Yeah, it matters that some of my favorite movies did win the Best Picture of the Year in the years that they come out. Um, so if a movie that I hated wins the Best Picture, no big deal. I guess I just didn't see eye to eye with everybody, that year, i.e., this year, as far as what a general consensus is as far as a best movie of the year. I don't see how some of these movies are in there compared to. I honestly I don't, and I have reasons behind that. Um, so yeah, I wish I could say I get it, but I honestly don't. Um, I mean, I can get why you could say some of these movies are nominated, and I don't want to start saying that. I don't want to say that F1 is nominated because, hey, before it came out, everyone was going to say that it's going to be the next Top Gun Maverick. I mean, it's Joseph Kosinski. It's, instead of him and Tom Cruise, you have him and Brad Pitt. I mean, instead of jet fighters, you have F1 racing cars. Why won't it, be the biggest hit of the year? Why won't it be nominated for Best Picture of the Year? And then it comes out, and that was just kind of like the narrative. That was just kind of kept up. Why wouldn't it have the Best Sound of the Year? I don't know. It's going to be nominated for the Best Sound of the Year because why wouldn't it be nominated for the Best Sound of the Year? Does it have the best sound? Am I deaf? I experience lots of audio, and I care about audio quite a bit. I'm kind of crazy when it comes to audio quality. On my own videos, I got to do better at that. But but like I care about it, and whenever I listen to audio on my own Atmos sound system here, I really enjoy those movies that really stand out. The ones where like everything works as far as the quiet moments and the loud moments, and now the sound coming around you and things like that. When the movies need to do it, that's a great thing that's such a great bonus to have, and I would love to have loved that with F1, but I did not experience it at all. Um, Frankenstein, I did not experience everything that people are saying about this movie was the opposite experience for me. Um, and of course, Superman, I could not believe. It seemed like that was another one of those movies where people was saying bad things about it, but then at the end of the reviews was like, but I still recommend seeing it. Yeah, I mean, it's still a good time at the theaters. It's like someone the other day was talking about a movie, and their consensus was all negativity, and then they said, yeah, I really wouldn't waste your time to go see the movie unless you have really a boring Sunday and you really want to see it was The Bride, and if you really want to just check it out, okay. But I give it a 6 out of 10. It was still a pretty good time. It's like, well, that 6 out of 10 ranking score on that Rotten Tomatoes site we all know about, that would be a positive score. But obviously, you did not have a good time watching this movie. So I think Superman got a lot of. It really felt like a lot of people kind of being a little bit mid on it, but then being like, yeah, but it was a fun time. Uh, it's all these movies, all the issues with these movies. I noticed them, and it prevented me from having a fun time. Even though I really tried, like Sinners, I really wanted to have a good time with that, and I was really impressed at the beginning. Not the very beginning, but the beginning. But that's the way it ended up being on my bottom 10. What a shame. And we will see. We will see what it wins tomorrow. I don't know. I at least one battle after another. The seemingly front runner. At least that's number 2 on my list. So at least I have something there that I can say. Well, at least I like this one. But let me know what you think of my list, and if you agree with me on some of the more controversial picks, as far as some of those that's on my bottom 10, and probably even maybe some controversial ones that's on my top 10. Like a lot of people hated 28 Years Later because the last 2 minutes ruined it for them. But let me know below, and hopefully the rest of this year is better than last year. Although with Bride, we're kind of down here. 2025 was here, and at this same point from last year, the Bride's right here. So 2026 is a long ways to go, but we'll see what happens, and I'll catch you in the next one.